everybody, what's happening? Tom Leyden checking in on the Westwood Living Podcast Network. And this is the Tom and Tom Show today. Happy to be joined by Tom Mullen from Breakwater Capital Group. How are you, my man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. And what I love about these conversations that I'm starting to have with people who are not necessarily associated as a sponsor with Westwood Living is that you are associated with the Lessons from Leaders program as a sponsor of that. So sincere thanks to you for investing in that program and being a part of it. Can't wait to hear what your experience was like at Westwood High School, but that makes a difference. And the people who stepped up and did that really helped make Lessons from Leaders launch successfully. So heartfelt appreciation. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate being part of it. I appreciate being invited on to the podcast, and it was a fantastic experience.
So Tom works here at Breakwater Capital Group, and we're going to get into a little bit of his background as it comes to finance and advice and tutelage for people who need that. But I really am most interested out of the gate with your experience with the kids when you came to Westwood High School, which was October 18th. From the minute you walked in the door, without knowing what to expect, what was your experience like?
It was fantastic. I thought the room was set up wonderfully in an engaging way so that people could walk around, speak to all the different leaders, and just pick their brains as far as what was their path, what were they interested in school, what were classes that could potentially lead to a particular career. So my experience walking in it was very warm, welcoming, and I think, for a high school junior, senior, or even sophomore walking into a room like that, it can be a little intimidating, but I think it was set up very nicely and welcoming, like I said, and I think all the professionals did their best to also welcome everybody as they came in, knowing, having been there themselves and been in that position. I think it was great.
So what sort of questions did you get from the kids, and were they specific to your field per se, or a bit more general?
I would say it was a combination of the two. So definitely some general questions, just, how did you end up in this career? Did you plan on that, initially out of the gates? What classes did you like in high school? What did you not like? I mean, it was really all over the map, but thoughtful, good questions. You could tell just good kids and really engaged.
Well, you're a Westwood resident, and obviously it was important to you to be involved in something like this, to get a little bit closer to the community, to become even more a part of the community. I know you're a coach of the third grade soccer team. Is that right?
Third grade girls.
How's the nerves every Saturday morning or Sunday morning?
It's fantastic. It's great. We have a great group of girls, great group of parents, but I always do believe that if you are a winning team and are going to win the game, then the girls have more fun. And so while we balance out playing time and everything the way that we should, we definitely try to win, and I think the girls are having a blast.
Listen, I think the best coaches, and obviously I have two girls who are now a senior and a sophomore at Westwood High School. We've gone through many coaches and many sports. I think there is something to that concept of, at whatever level the kids are at, there is a way to win. And yes, you want to balance off the playing time and the experience, and you want everybody to feel good. But a good coach is the coach who can say, like, even this little first grade team, I could figure out little sneaky ways to get them to win. So I'm glad to hear that you're at least trying. That's good. Let's talk a little bit about your background financially and how you ended up here at Breakwater Capital Group, because it was a long path, and it wasn't always this path that kept you a little bit more locally focused.
Definitely. So long path is right. I've been in financial services for over 20 years. I actually spent about 21 of those years at Fidelity, and I work with two partners currently, both certified financial planners. I'm a certified financial planner as well. And it's really just been a combination of working directly with clients and also being in leadership roles. So coaching and mentoring, and really just getting people to be great professionals and be able to really handle any conversation from any client at any point in their investing careers.
Talk to me specifically about the concept of being a certified financial planner, because that is another level of expertise which takes a great deal of time and study and effort to accomplish. So what was it in your career that said that that's something I want to pursue?
For being a financial planner specifically, it really is the gold standard. So being a certified financial planner is significant. It gives you exposure to all different pieces of the equation, whether it be taxes, estate planning, insurance, investments, really a very wide variety there. For me, I was a young guy getting into this. I don't feel so young anymore, but young guy getting into it. And for me to be able to sit down with a 75-year-old client who would look at me and say, "You're younger than my kids," I wanted that expertise. I wanted that understanding of all of these different areas so that I could deliver the goods. I could make an impact positively on every client that I worked with.
So the move to what is Breakwater Capital Group came after this long career at Fidelity, which took you into the Back Bay every day and kept you away from your family and your community for great periods of time. So what was the moment where you said, I need to try to localize this a bit more?
Well, I would say it's been on my mind for probably since 2005, since I became a certified financial planner. I really got into financial services because I wanted to have a positive impact on people. I looked at the financial planning as a place where, I could not only do well for myself, but I could do good for others. And making this change now was really a product of being home with COVID. I wasn't sure I could really work at home because I went into an office for over 20 years. I figured out I could work at home, and I actually really liked it. It was also spending, on the personal side, spending more time with my family. So yes, we went through Zoom kindergarten, and no, that was not the most fun part of anyone's experience. But
well, Zoom 8th grade wasn't much better.
Yeah, fair enough. We were Zoom kindergarten, 2nd grade, and 4th grade. And it was, that was an experience, but being around my family a lot more, not being out of the house for 12 hours a day was awesome. And then, my vision really on the professional side was really focused on just taking care of my local community. I think a lot like what you're doing with Westwood Living, you're having such a positive impact, on the students through lessons from leaders, but also just professionals in the community. And I look at it much the same as far as, making sure that I'm taking care of the people around me.
When we first spoke on the phone, you talked about something you're very passionate about, which is helping families plan for college.
Yes.
And how complicated that might be. And I'm going through it right now because I have a senior. And what we joked about in the first conversation was like, hey, if she goes to school A, I'll buy her a car. But we don't know if she's going to go to school A, and we may not have, let alone money for a car, but enough money to get the kid through college. So what do you tell families that just don't know what to expect in such an uncertain time? Will my kid get in? If they get in, can we afford it? If we can't afford it, what do we do?
Thank you for that question. I appreciate it. I think that's the question on everyone's mind. I think of my own situation. I have 3 kids, and I look at potentially writing 12 checks for $80,000 each. And I don't know that many people who can't or wouldn't break a sweat, by laying out that kind of cash. So for me, when I left Fidelity, I got another designation, which is focused on helping people pay off college loans, helping people save better for college, helping people budget better as they go through college. And everybody's situation, just like in financial planning in general, is different. They've saved a different amount. They're looking at different colleges. Their careers are different. And all of that does play into what the best direction is for them and how to structure things. Some people can pay just outright. Other people are going to need to finance it in some way, take loans, take either public loans, federal loans, or private loans. And my passion, I think, really comes from, I have a lot of teachers in my family, including my wife, who's a teacher in the Norwood School District. And I see the financial impact on more and more clients where I have people who are retiring who have college loans for their kids. And they're trying to say, well, what can I do? How can I pay this off? How can I get out from under and have that happy retirement that I envisioned? And that's really what I am focused on. There are programs out there for forgiveness. There are new income-driven repayment methods that the Biden administration has introduced that are really going to help a lot of people. And it's just a matter of taking advantage of every little thing that's out there. And what I found with college planning, even with myself, after being in the industry for over 20 years, there was a lot I didn't know. And this is something I'm really passionate about, and I want to help people because I look around and I see all my peers. Again, everybody's doing really well. Everybody's, living in a wonderful community like Westwood, which is fantastic. But how do we get to the point where we can get over that financial hurdle and have people get to a place of financial peace or financial freedom?
Do you get overwhelmed ever about the ever-changing nature of what you do? I think about what you do. I think about what accountants do. And you mentioned changes already that have been passed by the current administration. And it's like, oh boy, that's a whole nother group of study that I got to do. I got to be up to speed on these laws, on these policies. How do you balance all that when you're trying to learn new law, new rule, and figure out how you're going to apply that new law and new rule to your clients in the way of advice?
I think that brings me back to Lessons for Leaders, or from leaders, which is if you find something you're really interested in, then you're excited to read that. You're excited to put that into practice. And for me, it's always the new people I meet, the different puzzle that I need to figure out, and then how do we take what's available out in the investment universe, in the planning universe, in the estate planning universe, in the college planning universe, and put it into action for the individual or family.
So let's get a little bit personal and find out how you ended up here. You talked about your wife being a teacher over in Norwood, but where did you grow up?
Sure. I actually grew up all over the state of New Hampshire, so I moved a bunch of times as a kid, and met my wife actually at Boston College. So we're both BC grads. I graduated in 2000. She was 02, and she started literally student teaching in Norwood and was so happy, had a great group of friends. And, we lived in West Roxbury for a time and then ultimately landed in Westwood. My brother-in-law grew up in Westwood, so it was a familiar community to us.
And what year was that you moved here?
The end of 2015. So.
Okay. Oh, me too. That's the same time I moved to Westwood. So what's been your experience in the town? I find, particularly doing this now, publishing a magazine where you're meeting so many different people, many of whom have been there for decades, beyond 8 years, so much I don't know. You kind of get absorbed into what you do know, the everyday, the hustle and bustle. You got your kids going off to school, but there's so much historical perspective that people who are older than we are can give us. What's been your experience in Westwood?
It's been fantastic. We've only met great people, great families, people who want to educate their kids, are very proud to live in Westwood, which I think is great. I really like the fact that it is an engaged community. It's engaged, again, in the educational system. That, to me, that's very important with the 3 kids. But just the location is fantastic. I have only good things to say about Westwood.
What would be, you have any wishes, any visions, any things that you may want to see happen in the town? It's always an interesting question when I ask people, because some people have a very specific answer. Not the same, but they've thought about it. And you may not have, and that's fine. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
That's a good question. I love the small town feel of Westwood. I love the fact that, there's the land trust that protects Westwood, keeps it small and keeps it woodsy, keeps the wood in Westwood, I guess. I guess the thing that I've really liked and I wouldn't mind to see expanding is Islington. The feeling of more having like a downtown type of area. I really like the growth over there. I like the, Neroli went in there as a restaurant, like new restaurants, things like that to try and be able to go to that are nice and close to home. I think a little more expansion there would be fantastic. I think generally speaking, I'm really happy with the town, with the way it is.
So somebody listens to this conversation and you would hope that their reaction would be like, hey, I'd like to learn a little bit more about Tom Mullen. So how would they do that? How does a relationship with you start?
Great question. Initially, it's always a get to know you, so I'm trying to introduce myself, my background, and when I was much younger, I was trying to say, I'm a certified financial planner and, Fidelity would have never put me in this position if they didn't believe that I could do the job. Now I can say I've got over 20 years experience, and not that I've seen it all, but I've seen a lot. And, and I think between my 2 other partners and me, we've pretty close to seen it all. So it really is just getting to know my background, my firm, me as a person, and just what I believe in. My favorite quote, I think, is integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking. And I might have messed that up a little bit, but the spirit of it is there. it's for me to get to know them and get to know what's important to them, get to know the number side of it for sure, but it's really about the people, and it's really about what they value. You brought up college before. Some people want their kids to pay for college themselves. Some people want their kids to pay for a part of it just so that they have a stake in the game. Other people want to pay for the whole thing because, their parents paid for them, or, their parents couldn't pay for them and they can pay for their kids, So it is really truly finding out about what is important to the individual, and then being flexible and dynamic on our end to say, okay, great. Like, we will build the plan specifically around you and what's most important, and I always look at it as all the money people have saved. It's like being the CEO of your own company, and you're hiring us, hopefully you feel the best people for the job, to really support you to get to whatever success is, and that could be travel, it could be golf, it could be, just time with family. And I do look at financial services as a way, or kind of a means to an end, a means to get to the end of feeling comfortable and confident and being able to really live the life people want to live.
So for those of you watching this as a video, there's a slate here that has both Tom's phone number and email. But for those listening who can't see that, what are those key pieces of information?
Sure. So the company name is a little bit long. It's Breakwater Capital Group. So my email is Thomas, spelled just as you'd think it would be, .Mullen, which is Mullen, at breakwatercapitalgroup.com. So a long one. Sorry for that. And then
it's not that bad.
my phone number, they gave me the new quote unquote 781 number. It's actually 339-502.
Oh, that's actually the new 617 number.
Oh, maybe it is. Okay. 4200.
Wait, I messed that up. You got to start over. Go ahead. Just give me the number.
339-502-4200.
Well, that's Tom Mullen. Thomas.Mullen at breakwatercapitalgroup.com for those of you who are going to send an email. And again, thank you so much for your support of Lessons from Leaders. Great to get to know you. Great to meet you. Fellow Eagle, which is always good. Expand that network a bit, but a lot of fun. And as always, if you listening have an idea of somebody I should have a conversation with, please reach out. Send me an email to tleyden@bestversionmedia.com, and I'll find that person. We'll have that conversation and share it with you right here on the Westwood Living Podcast Network. But Tom, thanks so much. Have a great weekend, all right?
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, that's the latest from the Westwood Living Podcast Network. Have a great day.